The 2025 Southern Conference. Scott Mitchell, what is Padel, its appeal, and what do clubs in the U.S. need to know?
It's my pleasure and privilege to introduce Scott Mitchell. Scott is the general manager at Sensa Padel, or Padel, which I was corrected by Scott, in Nashville. It's a national brand of paddle clubs that are also located in Boston and soon to be in Austin, Texas, and San Francisco, and I'd heard rumors of Atlanta. Possibly. Okay. All right. Scott is an RSPA member, professional, and has managed some of the largest and most prestigious facilities in the U.S. and is now excited for the challenge to grow Padel across the nation. So one little fun fact about Scott, and he was actually a better basketball player than tennis player. But I'm not going to say why he didn't follow on to basketball. But,
I used to be taller.
But we're lucky to have him in racket sports. So without further ado.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, well, since you threw it out there, what does everybody call it? Paddle or Padel?
Padel.
Padel?
Padel?
You can call it, we tell everybody, you can call it whatever you want, as long as you play. Typically what we've found is the people that grew up playing, so it started in Mexico back in the 60s. I've been around a very long time. Went from there to Spain and Argentina. It was a guy in his backyard that wanted to put a tennis court, couldn't fit enough, didn't have enough room, couldn't fit a full-size tennis court in there, so a smaller court, ended up putting some walls around the back side of it so the balls wouldn't go into the field or into the bushes, and ended up putting a whole concrete wall. So if you look at the original ones, you'll see them. They're all concrete completely around them. It's only in the last several years that we started to see the glass and the cages starting to come up because it became more of a spectator sport. But if you ask those that grew up around it, at least the ones that we have, which is quite a few, they will call it paddle. Now granted, they roll their D's and sounds a little whatever. What we've heard from people is that here in the US we call it Padel, mainly because if you know platform tennis used to be called paddle tennis. So they're like, well, we got paddle, we can't call it paddle, what are we going to do? So that's where some people think that that's come from. But again, you call it whatever you want as long as you hit the court. It's played with a paddle or a racket, interchangeable, whatever you want to call it. It's fiberglass with some foam inside of it. But I was just telling somebody, don't do the pickleball high fives with these things. It's fiberglass, right? So if you go over there and whatever, then all of a sudden, and we've seen it happen where all of a sudden you have this big gouge in your racket or it splits completely. So we do the old school high fives, fist bumps, whatever, but try not to do the paddle high five, the pickleball high five. The ball is basically a tennis ball. It's 90% the compression. It looks exactly like a tennis ball. People bring their own tennis balls out, but when you hit it off the glass, it's a completely different feel. So it'll come off a little bit quicker. So this less compression ball actually comes off the glass a little bit cleaner. But I wanted to share this with you. So basically, like I said, we are a national brand. We've been just getting started in Nashville. We started, if you're going to open up an outdoor facility, you always want to do it in late fall, right before winter. Worst time to do it, because then winter hit, shut down. So December, January, and February are a little rough for us. So about 3 weeks of play. But we're just now getting started. But it's taking off big time. So when we say it is the world's fastest growing sport, everybody's like, that was pickleball. Pickleball is the fastest growing sport here in the US, but everywhere else around the world, yes, you're going to see it. It's popping up, just like Brian said, it's popping up in different countries. But this is crazy. So one of my staff members is from Spain. This tells you how, if you follow soccer at all. Paddle just passed soccer for being the most popular sport in Spain. Oh. And that's like mind-blowing if you know anything about football or soccer. So it's the world's fastest growing sport. It's really, really taken off. Like I said, it started in Mexico. You go anywhere in Europe, Italy, it's everywhere. You go to Miami, if anybody's been down to Miami, it's like coffee shops. It's everywhere. So it's just now getting to the U.S. We've got about 400 or 500. I think Brian may have said 700 or 800 courts. We think it's closer to 400 or 500 courts that are here in the U.S. But they're thinking in the next 5 to 7 years we're going to have 30,000 plus courts. So it's going to take off. So for those who's played before? A few of you? What'd you think?
I played once in Spain,
Okay.
and I was very confused with the walls.
Yep.
But I liked it. It was just, got to get used to it.
So I was when my wife and I used to play whenever it would rain when we lived in Atlanta, whenever it rained we'd go play racquetball. This is back in early 2000s, and people would come off the court and people would be like, "You guys are tennis players." I'm like, "How'd you know?" They're like, "You look like tennis players trying to play racquetball," right? So this is the same thing. We look like tennis players trying to play paddle, and it's just because there's two things that will happen. The first thing is the ball goes by you. Our tendency is to relax, points over.
Right.
Where actually it's coming back, right? So the first thing is being able to not relax and stay engaged, and the second thing is to learn how to play off the glass. So you see that, but everything forward is just like tennis, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But I wanted to share this with you really quickly.
Beautiful day here in Nashville, Tennessee.
I don't know if you can hear that.
I think it's amazing. I was telling them that it used to be Miami Vice. We need more of this tennis Padel community. And, you know, it's sort of like hell of wealth, but I think this represents it.
Well, it's nothing better. So in a place like this, and a day like this, a night like this, it's really good. So, thank you.
So one of the things that we made sure that we did, and that was our grand opening. So we had a lot of different partners that come out and support us and everything else. But what we've done intentionally is it's kind of like because I've been in the racket industry for 35 years and a lot of different high-end clubs, and our focus has always been on customer experience. Right? We want to make a great experience for people. We stopped using I don't know if you still do, we still can't anymore. We stopped using the term customer service because that's more of the communication that we typically have with people. And we started talking about the customer experience. So that's everything that they're going to come and, if your parking lot's dirty, the lights are burned out, there's paint chipping on the everything that's happening is impacting them positively or negatively with their experience there at the club. And that's intentionally what we're trying to do with tennis clubs, but now with paddle. Is we're trying to build a community with the center being paddle. So what you saw there was high energy. We had live music. We had a DJ after that. We had food. We're really just trying to build this because what we're seeing, what is missing in the tennis industry, or what has been, some clubs are doing it really well now, is back in the 70s and 80s, we were really good at connecting with people, and people used to stay at the club and they'd hang out and everything else. Then it became this, hey, I'm going to do my lesson, do my clinic, and then I'm out, I'm leaving. We started really trying to get people to stay and hang out at the clubs. And that's what we're trying to build here, is a place where people get to come, hang out, play some paddle, but then there's other things. So we're building more of a wellness side of it, and we'll talk about that here in a few. But everybody talks about what is paddle. 9 out of 10 people, if not 10 out of 10 people that come by our facility think we're a pickleball facility. They'll get out there with the pickleball paddles and everything else, and then they'll look at us and go like, what's wrong with your courts? We're like, it's because it's not a pickleball. You're looking for the kitchen, aren't you? You're like, our kitchen's way back here. But they still think it's pickleball. So there's a lot of education that's going into it. But we tell people it's as if tennis and squash had a baby. Pickleball is their cousin. So it's trying to make sure that we're adding all of these different sports to each other. We're not trying to say, don't play pickleball, don't play tennis anymore. But the pickleball players absolutely love this, tennis players as well. But they're not replacing their sport with us. It's just an additional sport, which is what we should all want to do. We also say it's easy to learn, like pickleball is, right? So it's a smaller court, smaller racket. The ball is not necessarily smaller. The compression's a little bit different, but it's still quick. But because of the paddle on the court sides, it's really easy for people to pick up. We'll do an intro to paddle clinic that's an hour long for people that have never played the sport before. We'll spend like 15, 20 minutes teaching them all the different rules, how to hit, and then they're playing after that. It's that fast. So it's very easy to learn, but it's hard to master when you start adding the walls in. And that's stuff that a lot of times we'll play around with in the introductory class, but we won't spend a whole lot of time because you'll just see steam coming out their ears. But all of this stuff like we talked about, but it's also a very active sport. So one of the things that people from pickleball have told us when they've come over is tennis and pickleball, the average length of a point is about 5 shots, 4 or 5 shots. The average length of and I'm going to show you some points here in a little bit, of paddle is 8 plus, 8, 12 points. The one point that I'll show you here in a second is 41 shots. There's points that literally last a couple minutes. So for those that want to get a cardio workout, we're starting to work with some gyms in the area, some fitness instructors where it's like, hey, you want to spend less time in the gym? We will give you your paddle for free. You just bring your clients out and show them a good time and get them out on the court. And it's been very, very well received. But again, like I said before, we're trying to build a community. So if you want to add paddle to your facility or your club, you've got space, don't just try to throw in courts and expect it to thrive. It's about trying to build a community around it. You probably already have one. This is just another element. And just like we talked about with Butch this morning, all of us are in the relationship building business. That's what we do, right? So we're trying to connect people, so don't think they're going to also just show up. There's a big learning curve when it comes because people are going to be very intimidated to try it. So we get them out there. We try to connect them as quickly as possible with our ambassadors, which are the people that we kind of help drive the engagement, either different play opportunities, level opportunities, social aspects, but trying to get them connected. And we've really started to build a little bit more of a wellness standpoint. So we have yoga and Pilates classes several times a week. We have cold plunges. We have a small little gym that we have, a little stretching area, lounge area. We've got TVs. We've got, somebody asked me earlier, how much does it cost to put a paddle court up? I mean, you could probably throw one down for 30 grand, maybe a little bit less than that, depending on what you get. But there's also $120,000 if you want it. We're somewhere in the middle. We've got speakers on every court. We've got high-end turf. We've got all the stuff that really will last a long time. Yes, you've got to spend a little extra money, but it's going to last a long time. But it also has a pretty cool vibe to it. This is the Paralympic hockey team that came out to play with us a couple weeks ago. That's the MLS team that spent literally 4 days in a row with us because they got hooked the first night, and they would text me at like midnight, like, hey, do we have courts tomorrow? Can we come out and get... it is one of those sports that is very addicting, and you will get hooked right away. It's always played in doubles. So think of tennis with a little bit of a twist. So everything forward towards the net is, you're just thinking you're playing tennis. Everything behind you is your racquetball or your squash. The lines on the court, so if you've ever watched it or YouTubed it, the lines on the court are just the service boxes. So think of a tennis court where the baseline is back behind the glass. You stand behind the white line, you have the bounce ball on your side of the white line. You get 2 tries to get it in cross court just like you would with tennis. Once it's in play, then the lines go away and the ball can land anywhere on the turf. It's always got to bounce before it hits the sides or the glasses, so you can't hit it directly into it like you would racquetball. It's got to bounce into it. But our goal is to get to the net, try to play up at the net. So the rule is that we don't have to let the ball bounce, but the ball always has to bounce if it's going to hit the glass. Does that make sense? And that's another thing that takes a little bit of time. Pickleball players love it just because there's still the touch and the finesse and the dinking up at the net, but you're more fluid in that area. You don't have to stay out of the kitchen. You can kind of move and flow through that area as well. Power. Got most of the guys in here, so sorry guys. Power is not part of the sport. You'll see it from time to time. It'll depend on what kind of shot that you're looking at. If it's at the net, I know, can't take him anywhere, can you? It depends on what kind of shot, but it's a lot of touch and angles and moving forward. Your goal is that you and your partner are playing up at the net together, and you'll see in this point here in a second that if we're at the net, their goal is to try to get us back off, so the lobs are one of the biggest shots in the game so that they can retake the net. So you'll see a lot of up and back and trying to move forward again as soon as they can. Like I said, the glass is the tricky part. But the other thing that's great is you're not learning a new scoring system. It's literally 15, 30, 40. You play 2 out of 3 sets. We do no ad scoring in a lot of cases. We just had a tournament that was super, super successful. And the new people to it were just like, oh, we've played tennis forever and we don't have to learn a new scoring. This was great. So it's one of those kind of sports. All right, so let's take a look at it. I think, yes. So if you're counting, that was 41 shots. I'll show one more.
Wow.
So I don't know if you've noticed that.
Scott,
Yeah, they're not trying to hit each other.
Scott.
Yes.
So you can hit it off the glass backwards before, you don't have to hit everything forward, right?
Correct. So two things that you saw, and I don't know if you noticed that, halfway through that last point, you saw him ricochet off the sidewall, which is a great shot. That's a whole different mindset because ours is always going to be, okay, I figured that part out, or I obviously know that. But to create the angle off of that is a whole different. So you can go off any of the glass. So offensive, so guys, we see this all the time with the guys and ladies who are way smarter than we are. We always want to smack it off the back glass. Doesn't matter where we are. That is a defensive shot. So anytime the ball bounces and hits the glass, usually you want to try to hit it back forward towards the net. The only time you would see it go back off the glass is like what you saw there, not only, but 99% of the time, is when I can't get behind the ball, and so I'm going to ricochet it back off the glass and create usually a lob so I can regain control. But they won't, what the guys do is we'll be inside the service box and still be trying to smack it. You have to hit it so hard for the ball to travel to the glass and then all the way back over at the height, at the very top of the glass to create that angle. So yeah, you usually want to hit it back towards the net. That's an offensive shot. Yeah, Dan.
So there was like a cage above the glass
Yep.
wall back. Is that because that's a professional match or is that standard?
That's standard.
And
So, go ahead.
if you hit an overhead smash,
Yep.
is it like impossible to clear that fence?
No.
Or
No, he was just probably either didn't mean to hit it that or wasn't close enough to it. Because you have to get, it has to be a pretty good angle for it to get over the fence.
right? But
So,
is that legal?
It is legal. So the
Okay.
two things is anything that it hits, so if it bounces and hits anything on the sides or the glass or above it, is in play. So if it hits the glass, it's going to come off pretty quick and we've got to play it. If it bounces up higher than that, so it's about 3 feet above the glass that the fence attaches, we would then have to again play it off that. The tough thing about the fence, which is why when you go to the net, you want to try to angle balls rather than hit the ball hard, is because the sides are the cage of the fence as well. So whenever it comes off the fence, you have no idea where it's going. So it may come off of it and drop straight down. It may shoot different angles. You have no idea. But that's what you heard it going off of that, and then we've got to play it back off of that. If we're hitting the ball to the other side, the only thing that we can do is hit it back either forward directly or off the glass. We can never ricochet it off the fence and have it go back over. They can bounce it into the fence and then I have to play it over, but we can't hit it into the fence to send it back over. Does that make sense?
Was there a point in there It actually did look like it hit off the back wall and traveled all the way to the other side.
Yep.
So they have to touch it before it gets to the
Yep.
other side?
So that's why you saw the guy jump way up in the
Yeah,
air.
that's,
Yep.
so he did touch it.
He did touch it.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And
So
then-
that's the other thing. So when the power comes in play are two things. Either I'm trying to hit it up and over the fence, or I'm trying to hit it hard enough that it goes off the glass and back over my opponent's head
Yeah.
to where they can't touch it.
Yeah.
Or the third thing is I can bounce it into the glass and up and over, which is what you saw the first point ended. The second point, the guy ran outside the gate
And what
and
happens
hit
to
it back in without, so he didn't touch anything as he went out the gate. So same rules as tennis. I can't touch the net. I can reach over if it's gone over to their side and coming back, I can reach over. But he ran outside the gate and then hit it in between the doorway and the net hole, in between the players for a win. Absolutely crazy. So
Yeah.
platform tennis, which used to be called paddle tennis, the rule is when the ball goes up and out, it's out of play. This is still in play. You can sit there and YouTube these things for hours, and it's just the craziest thing in the world.
So if you exit the court
Yep.
to retrieve a ball, it has to go back through that doorway? Or
Nope.
would you lob
You can hit it back up and over it too. He just somehow, within a split second, saw that opening. But yes, I've seen the ball where the ball will go up on the fence and it will roll down the fence, and the guy was outside it, just chasing after it until it actually came over to his side, and then he smacked it back up and over the fence. So it can stay up there. There's no rule how long it can be up there, bounce up there, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, we could sit there and watch those points forever. Okay, why you're, yeah, everybody's gonna, I see everybody's head down all of a sudden on YouTube and everything. So why do you need paddle at your club? Well, it's gonna appeal to a broader audience. So what we're finding is what we're hearing, and this isn't anything against pickleball, but the pickleball players that have come in and talked to us and said, we can see this as this starts to get better, more popular around the States, we can see the 55 plus staying with pickleball and the 55 and under going to something like this, because it's a very, very active sport. So it complements tennis and pickleball. People love it. Again, I don't think it's going to replace it, but it's one of those things, if you have it at your club or you have space for it, I think it's something that you should look into and invest in. If you want to talk about that, we went with Padel Gallus to build our courts. One of the top 3 to 4 companies in the world, but once they're gone, you're on your own. So we've got some other ones that you can work with that are, if you're interested in talking about that kind of stuff. It will absolutely increase your court utilization. Everybody's looking for that stuff that's in the middle of the day or the early mornings, and our big thing is education is the hardest part. People walk by, they have no idea what the sport is, they've never heard about it. When people come by and think it's pickleball, oh yeah, we've played that, and we're like, you've played this sport before? Oh yeah, and then we ask them, like, where? Oh, like, we just played over here in Franklin the other day. I'm like, no, you're thinking of pickleball. This isn't pickleball? I literally sat and talked to a lady for 20 minutes about a membership, and I was like, this would be great to have you as a new paddle member. She's like, a what? Oh, I thought we were talking pickleball. I'm like, no, this isn't a pickleball facility. So it's one of those things where it is going to take some time. You have to be patient. But your court utilization will pick up. We're seeing some people that are more remote. In Nashville, we're seeing a lot of remote workers that are starting to fill up our morning and midday. It will absolutely start to attract a younger audience. As you saw our grand opening, we had 250 to 300 people there. And a lot of them were young that were just looking for something else to do and now are hooked on paddle. It's also one of those things where if you're going to build a facility, build enough courts, invest in enough courts that you can do different things. Don't put 1 or 2 courts in there. Think a little bit bigger because you want to try to do some tournaments, you want to do some socials, maybe some leagues. 1 or 2 courts isn't going to do that for you. You're going to have a nice amenity that maybe some people will use. We typically use the benchmark of every court that you have is another 100 members that you can have. So with us, we're looking at 600 members. If you add 100 or 200 members, that's great. But what you can offer that 100 or 200 members is very limited if you only go with 1 or 2 courts. So just be careful with that. And retention is huge for the clubs that have added this kind of stuff. Construction, a little bit about our facility. So this is our facility in Nashville. Originally, I don't know if you can see this right here, in this little area right here, is a a gravel lot. So that's where we were originally going to build an indoor-outdoor facility, probably 4 to 6 indoor, 4 to 6 outdoor, and then maybe 4 pickleball courts. But they came to us and they said, hey, Scott, so downtown, you can see downtown up in the top left. Literally, it takes you 2 minutes to drive there. So this is the old meatpacking district there in Nashville. All they did was support everything from it. So they left all the buildings that have been there for 100 years, which is really cool. And then they added some of these other buildings in like this. So about 3 years from now, we have another building that's going to sit here. It's going to mimic that and connect to each other. And they came to us and just said, hey, phase 2 is 3-4 years away. What do you think? Would you like to just plop courts down here? We said, absolutely. We'd be in the middle of everything. And so for us, when it came to the cost of building something, this pad, this concrete pad was already there. All we had to have them do is come in and put drainage in. Now, the downside is, I don't want to say this where it sounds like it wasn't me, but somebody who has managed clubs or built courts wasn't involved in that. So where they put the drains really isn't ideal. I'd pitch it, I'd put the drains in the middle where the net is. They just randomly put it down just because it's building contractors. They didn't know what they were doing. So we do have a few dead spots, but again, eventually we'll be back over here where we're going to be. So our court costs a little bit different, but really all you're looking for is something that's solid, has a little bit of good drainage that's around it, doesn't have to be underneath it, but if it's pitching, like a tennis court would or a parking lot would, then you should be fine. And just some flat surface, which would be great. Your cost usually for building a court is going to be less than what it would be for you to build tennis courts from scratch. So the courts are about 66 by 33, a little bit of a buffer around them, depending on what you want to do. Our courts, as you saw, we have, so this is where our shop is underneath here. These 2 courts here and here, we're able to, if you're playing and want to run out, like you saw that point, run out and play the ball, you can. Here and out here, you can't. There's a wall that's running right there. This is a non-drivable road that's there. And then over here is our brick wall, because this is going to be a lobby when the next office tower comes in. So you can only run out on one side. So you want a little bit of room, but the courts themselves are 66 by 33. So you can probably fit 2 or 3 in one tennis court. They're usually prefabricated, so they're coming to you. All it's going to take is about 4 to 6 weeks to get everything leveled out and smoothed up and installed, and then again, all the extras that you want to do. It's AstroTurf. It's European usually. If you, my personal thing would be maybe try to find a local AstroTurf company here in the U.S. The Europeans don't put enough holes in them, so they don't drain as quickly. So we've talked to a couple of turf builders that did like Vandy and all those kind of things that are like, oh, this would be so much better if we did X, Y, Z. So I would look at some of that, and I can get you in contact with that. But just like I said, a flat surface and good drainage, and you should be fine. And then look for the indoor-outdoor. Depending on where you are, you want to try, like for us in Nashville, you would think, oh yeah, it's great, it's in the South. Wintertime, we saw like 3 weeks of play in 3 months. So we had a rough winter. It snowed a lot, it was cold. So it was a little bit, it was a learning experience. So revenue generating. I want you to think of your tennis clubs. Usually most of us are familiar with people coming to the tennis courts. They come out, they do lessons and clinics and whatever, and then they start to do their play, right? And then they start getting into more match player leagues. This is absolutely reversed. So what you want to try to set up is intro classes so that they can come out, they learn the sport, get the hit, and get comfortable with the paddle, and then they will play. And it's maybe a little bit like pickleball, but in a sense, at least at the clubs that we've talked to, pickleball doesn't see, they do the quick little intros and they go play a lot, but they don't see a lot of the programming on the backside. This will, but it's a depending on the player, it's a several weeks, if not several months. So what we had, for instance, we had people come out in October, they did the intro class, they started playing. Now, in April and into May, now we're starting to see them sign up for clinics to try to get better or lessons. So now they've played enough that they're like, oh, I probably should understand a little bit better how to use the glass or how to serve like this or whatever. So you're seeing it come back around, but our classes, our programming is absolutely skyrocketing now with people coming back in, but we're asking them and we're finding out it's a 2 to 3 month easily for them to have that play before they're coming back into it. Don't do what we do, or we did. I'm not a free, anybody that knows me from the tennis tournament side, I'm not somebody who does anything for free. I think you devalue it. I think you're bringing in people that will only want to do it because it's free. So I would say if you want to introduce somebody to paddle, charge something, even if it's $5. But don't do it for free, because you'll do like what we did in September. So I started at the very end of August. We had all of these things set up in September just to let people come out. We had masses. We've never been so full as we were in September, but everything in September was free. All of those people had no intention of staying with us, and I think we probably have less than 20% of them, if not less than 10% of them, ever wanting to come back. They just weren't interested in it. So I would charge something so that you're bringing in an audience that's already ready to spend some money with you, instead of just looking for a freebie.
If you're at like a private club, let's say you put in your 4 to 6 courts, private club, would you charge court fees, or?
It depends. I mean, so what we've done, and I think I may have it on this, what we've done, we have a hybrid model. So you can do a membership, which is an unlimited, so you pay a monthly fee or an annual fee, and you get all of your court bookings for free and your open plays for free, and then everything else is discounted. Or you could pay as you go, right? And so what we heard, so when I started, we had the corporate model. We have a club in Boston. Their pricing is way different. So if you're like us, where I've told our crew, our investors and everything, every city has its own DNA. We can't just take pricing from New York and Boston and expect it to happen in Nashville. We started that way, and we saw that it didn't work. So we spent all of October, early November, restructuring everything: price models, court fees, everything, membership models, everything. So we think we have it right. So basically right now, and the other thing I would tell you is try not to, and I know a lot of places do, but try not to price to publicize your pricing as a court fee. Do it as a per person fee. So basically, if you do an hour of play with us in the evenings, it's $100 for the court. And everybody's like, oh, I'm not doing $100. Well, it's $25 for yours. So we learned that lesson too, that people were just seeing that right away and shutting down. And so in the middle of the day, it's $15 a person for an hour. In the evening, it's $25, or on the weekend, it's $25. So make sure you try to, that visual is a huge piece of it. But we're seeing court fees anywhere from about, I think National Campus, last time I talked to Simon, was $80, I think, for an hour. And they were at 60, I think, a year or two when he and I first started talking about it. I think they're about 70 or 80 now, but we're seeing them all the way up to $350 for an hour. So it's all over the place. And again, it all depends on the market and where you are. Remember, lessons, clinics, leagues, tournaments, socials, all of those are as well a big piece. So you're taking the tennis model and really kind of plugging it into this. Those of you that have heard some of my other presentations, just remember the tournaments, events, and socials, leagues, all of those drive something different. And one of the things that that I worked really, really hard with the team here in Nashville and Boston was understanding that everything isn't an event. Everything's either a social, a tournament, or an event. And the difference, just quickly, is a social can break even, or you could lose a little bit of money because your ROI is on something down the road. Right? So we're going to do a social to really kind of engage our membership, but we're telling them about the league that's getting ready to start in 3 weeks, and so we want to try to have them sign up while they're there. So we'll do a little bit of a social, maybe we'll break even, get some food and drinks, but the goal is that they sign up for the league, then that the money is actually coming down the road for the league that's happening in 3 weeks. Right? So you can do that kind of thing. In event, you should do the big events, have to make money, or why are you doing them? But they also have to meet a strategic need. Are you trying to drive more membership? Are you trying to just let people know about whatever it is? But you can do those. Those are bigger and bolder, but that's kind of like our grand opening that we saw. So that's something where we spent quite a bit of money, but we also wanted to bring in everybody from town that had some influence and could help drive the awareness that we're having. We talked about membership, but pro shop, merchandise, all of that kind of stuff. Club buyouts, what we're seeing a lot of people do right now is that they'll want to rent for 2 hours, they want to rent all the courts. And so we've got a price for that, and then we've got add-ons. So if they're like, hey, I want a coach to help us, or I want to have F&B, or I want the cold plunges and all that. So we just have a basic pricing for them, and we're getting a lot of inbound calls on that kind of stuff now. And then the other thing that we do a lot of is our, kind of like what we do for seasonal court time for tennis at most of our clubs. We're starting to do it with our partners that are in that area, so that maybe their office, but like Rubicon Founders is right next door. They come out every Tuesday night, book 4 courts for an hour. So we're seeing them just want to have reoccurring court time, and that's starting to pick up too. So you've got a lot of different avenues. F&B on the pickleball side, what you're seeing, the clubs that are really struggling are the ones that are really just trying to do indoor pickleball without really anything else. Their overhead is just way too high, and they don't have any other revenue streams. So same thing with this. I'd make sure that you have other revenue streams. I'd look at F&B as well, just so you don't get into that play. Like we said before, don't make some of the mistakes that we did at the beginning. So don't try to do everything for free. You can try to do, look, if you buy an hour, we'll give you an hour, so there's always some sort of comeback with it. Location is going to be huge. If you're at a club, if you're at a private facility, don't just say, hey, look, we've got an empty parking lot in the back of the club and we're going to go put 2 courts there. It has to be something that's up front where people can see it, because people don't know what this sport is at all. So you're not getting people walking by our facility right now going like, oh, I've been waiting to play paddle. They all think it's pickleball, or they're like, I had no idea. So you'll go out on a Friday night or a Saturday, and our wall that I showed you is lined with people with cameras. Because they're all like, what in the world is this thing that they're doing? Because nobody's heard of it. So make sure you get a place that's got good visibility. You're going to get some traffic there. And then make sure that you're prepared for the journey. The biggest thing for us is the education. Like I said, nobody knows about it. So we can't think that, look, this is going to be something that's going to be profitable in a year from now. It's more like 18 months, 24 months, maybe a little bit more. Most of the paddle clubs, unless you're in Miami, and most of the ones in Miami that we've visited aren't profitable either, and mainly because they do so many things big and bold that they probably need to cut back a little bit. But I mean, it's high dollars down there for sure. But just be prepared for the journey. It's not going to be something that's going to be instantaneous. Questions so far?
Is your pricing model different than pickleball for the memberships, or is it somewhat, I mean, are you comparing pricing model? You had on the last slide, I think you had something about memberships and pricing packages.
Yeah, we do.
One of our facilities, Lifetime, that we actually work at, just actually took tennis courts away and put pickleball courts.
Yep.
And they're charging the same membership rate for pickleball members, and they got it as they would charge tennis members.
Yep.
I'm just wondering about the paddle in relation to pickleball as far as the pricing. Is it court fees the same and memberships the same, or are they different models?
From paddle to pickleball?
Yeah.
It's tough because every place is a little different, right? So again, if it's like Lifetime or some of these others, completely different model than what you would find clearly at a public park, right? Which is free, which is what everybody wants to do anyway. And it depends on what they offer, right? So a lot of it's the extras, right? So we're adjusting ours right now. We're working with partners that will give us extra benefits so that we're not actually incurring the cost or the expense to build it. So we're working with somebody who's going to offer cold plunges to our members for free. They get 100% of the revenue for anybody else. Cycling, we're working with crew with cycling, like all of our, so we're strategically trying to add things that don't put more stress or financial burden on us, but it's offering more value to them. And because we can do that, it will allow us, or it is allowing us not to change our member pricing because we don't have any expense with it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So there's a lot of factors that go into that for sure. So just like we talked about, we're in the relationship building. So when we have people come to our club, it's not really trying to get them to buy into paddle. It's trying to get them, know them, understand them, make them feel comfortable. We do a lot of extras around. We even give them a tour of the whole place just so they feel like we took the time to spend with them. But try to build the relationship. You'll see them very quickly. If they feel you know their name and they know your name, they're going to come back and spend some time. remember, you're building more than courts. We're trying to build a community. I would highly recommend you all do that too. The sport will take care of itself, right? Once they get out there and play and all that kind of stuff. But again, there's so many things for people to do and spend their money on. Why should they spend it with you, or maybe sit on the couch instead and not spend anything? So you want to make sure they feel like they're at home. It's a home away from home is what we tell people. By playing in doubles, it's doubles only, so you've already got a built-in community. But we spend a lot of our time connecting the people. So if we're out there and we see Tom walk by, we'll try to introduce him to somebody else that might be in the same, if we already know who you are, that would be in the same boat as, oh, he played tennis too. Oh, you guys should meet each other. Oh, we played. That's our job, is to really try to connect people as they come. We know that in any environment, church settings, social settings, in this setting, the faster you can get them connected with people that are like-minded and doing the same things they are, the faster they will stay with you. If you don't do that, which is why we have ambassadors, if you don't do that, they're fledgling around trying to find their own connections, and it's very hard to do. If anybody's ever gone to a church or a large church and you walk in and nobody comes and greets you, that's what they're going to feel like when they come to you. We always want to make sure that they feel like we're there for them. When you do your programming, it's got to be consistent and it's got to be intentional. Don't try to, I know we've done this in the industry for a long time where it's like, oh, I think we should do a cardio class on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock. I don't know why, but we're just going to do it, and it falls apart. You got to think about what works, what are people looking for, and what we're finding is very quick intro classes and then play opportunities. So we've got them in level playing. So if you've done the intro class, you go to intro to play. What we found out, the people, so our levels are level 1 is the lowest, level 3 is the highest, level 3 are like the pros, all right? So that everybody's like, oh, I want to be a level 3. Yeah, we have like 5. Everybody's usually in level 2, and everybody starts at level 1 and works their way up. But the people coming from the intro class into play were like, they've already been playing. We need something in between there. So we started an intro to play. So now they're moving into that one, and it's usually the same group of people. They're hanging out. They're already meeting each other. They feel comfortable, and then they're off on their journey together. So we added that over the last 6 weeks or so. And then a lot of clubs are doing this right now. If you're going to invest in paddle, absolutely find a coach. I know I've talked to a lot of people about trying to find a coach. Unfortunately, what we're finding is here in the U.S., the tennis coaches do a really good job. They don't do a great job when it comes to the glass and that stuff. So we went and hired our head coach out of Colombia. He was here in the States, played college tennis, but grew up playing paddle in Colombia and does a great job for us. And then we have, I don't want to make it sound bad, but American coaches that support him and learning underneath him, just because they don't have that experience. Somebody's going to come up to us and say, well, he grew up playing, that's who I want to take from, rather than, oh, here's a tennis coach that's transitioned to paddle. We're seeing that being an issue. So, and as I've talked to more and more people, even here, we're seeing the same thing. The same conversations are, yeah, we're struggling to find a coach. Try to invest in somebody that grew up playing it. And then also stay very customer experience focused, as we talked about earlier. So these are some of the things. I don't have to go through all of these. But these are some of the things that you want to make sure that you look at. Do a needs assessment first. Do you need paddle courts? Does your membership, does your community, are they looking for paddle courts? So don't just start going through this list if you haven't done all the other things first. Make sure. But make sure you have the space that we talked about. The construction costs, like I said, it could be a little bit lower than that and a little bit higher than that, depending on what you're doing, what your facility looks like at the current stage. We talked about the business model, the programming and the engagement, booking structure. Make sure, I know Court Reserve, we almost went with Court Reserve. They're amazing. But we went with Play-by-Point, which is where probably 95% of the clubs in the U.S. use Play-by-Point. So we just switched with them. So make sure you have a good booking system. Court Reserve was almost there. And then what we're finding out, like we talked a little bit about partnerships and sponsorships, it is huge in Europe. It's taking off big time in Europe. And so the partnerships are taking off too. Kids programs, we're working with USTA Tennessee. We're doing a big event with them next Saturday to drive tennis players so they can experience paddle. We'll have a red ball court for them. We'll do some fun stuff. But again, it's trying to have this crossover. I don't know about you all, if you all have the same experience that we have, but USTA Tennessee has been absolutely phenomenal with their support of paddle. I don't know if I can say it about pickleball, but paddle, they're like all for, which was cool. So try to connect with your local USTA groups. And then I think I have one more video. Oh, you got to learn Spanish too, by the way.
I'm figuring that one out. The Spanish lessons come with the
They do.
paddle lessons.
Oh,
That was incredible, wasn't it?
wow.
We could watch this all day. I won't do that to you. But everybody I know will go and start watching it, won't you? What questions do you have for me? Yes.
I just have a stupid question, but because it's been so long, I've only played once. You cannot hit on the wall or the glass. It has to bounce on the ground.
Always has
first.
to bounce first. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Can't hit directly into something for sure.
What manufacturer makes like the best ball or most consistent?
Wilson, of course.
I was just gonna say, that's a silly question.
You know, it's just kind of like tennis balls. Like we've had Technifiber there, and Technifiber does a great job. The balls just are way different. It's not good or bad. It's just you can tell. Wilson does a great job with the balls. As I think most of you know, I've been with Head for 35 years, so I just switched to Wilson, and their balls are really, really good. And so we were playing with them at the club from the beginning, and it's just really smart. But we also have Wilson and Technifiber and Head, Babolat, Adidas. We have all the other paddles. We've got in a sense, a little bit of an exclusive with Wilson, so we do more with them than anybody else. But all the paddles are really good. And then that's not even counting the bowl paddles, and, you know, the European models and all that kind of stuff that's still starting to come here. But those are even, I don't want to say even better, but they're really good. They're also really high end. So you're spending $350 or something.
Oh.
Yep.
Like platform or ragdoll, is there any attempt or is there any technique to make the ball die in the corners? Are you using the cracks at all? Like,
so good question. So the surface is AstroTurf. So you'll see a lot of, so continental grip is going to be the thing. Trying to hit topspin. I don't know if anybody, if you don't follow me on Instagram or X, please do. But I just posted like yesterday or the day before a video of somebody that's like a tennis player trying to play paddle, and it looks like like we talked about. So you know, it's like it is so hard to try to hit with topspin with this. So it's more continental, a lot of flat and underspin, and using the turf to your advantage. So if you're using the underspin, it will skid and it will die. The lobs that we talked about are a huge part of the game. If I can get it trapped in the glass to where it's coming down right next to the glass, it is so hard to get behind it or even hit it against the glass. You're not going to hurt the glass, which is the other thing. Everybody's like, I'm scared to hit it or run into it. You won't. I mean, very rarely does one shatter. Yeah, it will. But again, that's where we talked about earlier. It's less power, right? So in tennis, where we see the opening, we want to just rip it through there. Where we want it to die through there. So I want to just get it by you and just let it die. As you get better and better at it, the harder you hit it, the more it actually helps the other side.
right.
Yep.
It's like a platform. I mean, like there's like that lob and overhead rally can last 25 shots by itself.
Yep.
Just
Yep,
always trying
for
to
sure.
die.
As you saw, yeah. Yeah, it goes. It's
Is
very
there
fun.
any evolution to I know pickleball kind of evolved when it first started, one-hand backhands into two-hand backhands. I haven't seen it at all in paddle on.
The
I
two-handed?
know a lot of the high-level players now in pickleball are actually hitting two-hand backhands.
Yep.
And I don't think I've ever seen it in.
Yeah, you'll see some of it if you yeah, there is some, yeah. Not as much probably as what pickleball is, again, because it's not going to be a power sport. I mean, you're seeing some power come in to where it was a ton of finesse even 5-7 years ago. You're starting to see some, but it's never going to be the power like what you're seeing in tennis or even pickleball, just because of the wall. It's not going to help you. But you are seeing a lot of that, even some of the high-level players, men and women. Yep.
What about injuries like in pickleball? It's pretty high.
Yeah, it hurts.
Sit on glass and stuff to run into.
Yeah, I mean, it's the good thing is like when you play on a paddle court, because it's AstroTurf, everybody's come off and been like, look, I played for 3 hours and it doesn't feel like it, right? So it's very soft from that standpoint. I mean, you're probably still going to get some injuries, being even more of an active sport than what you're seeing in like pickleball, where you're camped out at the kitchen, where this, you're never like that, you're always fluid. But we haven't seen it yet, but again, it's brand new to the US. I would imagine you'll start to see some. But the thing that with the glass is, like you'll bump into it, like you saw them bump into it, but you're not really, if you're high speed running into it, probably need to come off the court and let's have a little class, because it's just not intended for that. So usually you're pretty controlled in there, and it's a lot of short bursts in circulation type motion, as you saw them always spinning around knowing where the ball's going to go, as opposed to just dead on sprints back and forth. So you might see some though. But we haven't. Yeah, that's what most people, yeah, we intentionally did that just for that. We were like, hey, well, let's do some clay courts. Anything else? All right, I will see everybody on the paddle court. Thanks, everybody.